I was the last person you'd expect to find in a pew. That's how Rosaria Butterfield describes her conversion to Christ. A tenured professor at a major university, a committed feminist, a lesbian, and an outspoken critic of Christianity. She was deeply entrenched in a worldview that saw Christians as narrow-minded and dangerous. So how did someone like that come to faith in Jesus? She's a believing woman. She's a wife to a husband. She has children that she's raised. She travels and speaks on behalf of the truth of Christianity. How does she become a Christian? Well, I'll tell you, it didn't begin with an argument, but with kindness. A local pastor and his wife invited her over for dinner, not to debate her, not to pressure her, but simply to listen to her story, to share the truth of Jesus, and to show hospitality. Over time, as Rosaria began to read the scriptures for herself and watch the quiet integrity of this couple's lives, something unexpected began to happen to her. Jesus came near her. Her heart began to soften, and over time, she realized she believed this. And so she surrendered her life to Christ, her whole life. Every desire she had was submitted to Christ. Every wickedness she had been involved in, given to Christ. Every direction of her life surrendered. By her own words, she didn't come easily or cleanly to Jesus. She came honestly. And Jesus met her there. This is the kind of Savior he is. He doesn't reserve his grace for the religious. He doesn't reserve his grace for the wealthy. He doesn't reserve his grace for those who have it all together. Jesus redeems anyone from any background, any past, or any place who come to him in faith. That's exactly what we see here in Matthew 15, verses 21 through 39. We see three powerful moments where Jesus responds to desperate, hurting, and hungry people. People who don't belong in religious circles, people who have nothing to do with Jesus, people who have nothing to offer but need. And yet Jesus welcomes them, he heals them, he feeds them, and as only he can do, he shows them remarkable grace and undeserving mercy. Today's main idea is simply Jesus redeems anyone who comes to him in faith. He redeems anyone who comes to him in faith. And that's important. This truth is really important for us. This truth for the Christian is to drive our worldview and how we see people. We should not view people through the lens of the news, of the lens of our favorite politician, of the lens through whatever sort of view you have of people. There's one thing that drives our view of people. This truth that Jesus redeems anyone who would come to him in faith. This might mean the neighbor who is living a whole different life than you have, a coworker who might be same-sex attracted, the person who might be addicted to whatever, a person who is different culturally and ethnically from you. What guards us and what drives us is this one truth that Jesus can redeem anyone from any background, no matter what they've done. And it's through faith in him. Let's give us some context here. As we continue to follow Jesus, we encounter here three powerful moments that showcase his transforming power. He lands in a new area. First really moment comes in this area of Tyre and Sidon, a pagan region in modern day southern Lebanon. This location marks a shift in Matthew's focus because this region is not Jewish territory. This region is Gentile territory. And Jews considered Gentiles unclean and unworthy of God's mercy, often referring to them as dogs. When I say dogs, I'm not talking like those golden doodles that we've created, all right? Those cute, cuddly things. I'm talking about scavenger dogs who are walking on the streets, who are dirty and filthy, eating whatever garbage was left over from the day before. They're street scavengers. And this is how the Jews viewed the Gentiles. Three things I want us to see today from these three moments. The first one is this: Jesus delivers the desperate. He delivers the desperate. We begin in verse 21, and as we go along, I'll provide some commentary. Matthew writes under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." Now, Matthew intentionally highlights her identity. She's not just a Gentile, but a Canaanite. The Canaanites were the Israelites' ancient enemies. They were Israel's ancient enemies. And so in this moment, she's not just a Gentile, but one of their descendants of their enemies. It's a major clarification on who she is. Yet, this woman addresses Jesus by a specific name. What is it? What does she call him? The Son of David. This is a bold confession that he is Israel's promised Messiah. Think about this. Many of the Jews, as we've seen, even Jesus' own disciples struggled to understand who he is, yet this outsider sees more clearly than the insiders. She's a desperate woman. She's heard of what this man can do, and she has a real need. Notice, her desperation is deeply personal. Her daughter is oppressed by a demon, and so her daughter's pain is her own pain. She's taken it on herself, and only parents know this kind of burden. When your child suffers, you suffer. Many of you have suffered watching your children go through hard times. Many of you, even today, are sitting here in this room. There are people in this room whose children are now walking contrary to the way you raised them. They're walking in ways that you never imagined your children would walk. And you've been pleading and you've been praying, and you've been asking for God to do something or turn them around, and for whatever reason, he has not answered yet. And you know the burden that you have for your children. Verse 23 continues. So this woman who has this deep personal thing, her daughter is oppressed. Verse 23, but he did not answer her a word. What? Like Jesus? This is Jesus. Yet he ignores her? Like the silence feels surprising. It feels even offensive. Like how could Jesus not even listen to the woman? His silence, though, isn't a rejection of her. It's more of a test. I mean, sometimes God's silence is designed to draw out deeper faith and not drive us away. Have you ever prayed desperately for God to do something and heard nothing? Again, if I asked you right now, how many of you have been praying for something for a long time and yet God has not answered you, I'm certain over half this room would raise their hands. And there are real temptations to give up. What's the point? He doesn't listen. He's not answering. Where is he? Where is God? God, why haven't you come through yet? My daughter is suffering. My son is suffering. My parents, my friends, my job, my finances. God, where are you? God, why aren't you answering me? And yet it seems like there is just silence. I've been there. Verse 23 continues. His disciples came and begged him, saying, send her away, for she is crying out after us. Now, again, his disciples here seem to be annoyed with her. She's not their kind of person. They're like, go away, leave us alone. And where they see an interruption, Jesus sees an opportunity. He answers, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he answers that he was sent to Israel first. This is not a denial of her. It's a clarification that his mission first begins with Israel, but it won't end there. Even though the mission was Israel first, it was never Israel only. This Jesus, this gospel that he is preparing is going to go to the nations. He's drawing them into something bigger. And through her humble faith, Jesus reveals that he didn't just come for the insiders, the lost sheep of Israel, but he also came to bring the outsiders in. That God's kingdom is for all peoples. It is for all peoples. And we're beginning to see the fulfillment of God's redemptive plan for every ethnic group right here in the middle of Matthew. As Matthew begins to shift now, Jesus isn't just doing his things among the Jews, now he's doing them among the Gentiles. And this whole account, these three accounts are about him doing that, not just among individuals, not just doing it among political nations, but that he's doing it among the nations as peoples. It reflects the fulfillment of the promise given to Abraham. Genesis 12:3, in you all the families or the peoples of the earth shall be blessed. And it looks ahead to Revelation 7:9, a great multitude from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages. All three of these accounts are pointing to this. So where does this story go? Verse 25. But she came and knelt before him. So Jesus is going, I've come for Israel. And then she persists. She comes to him and kneels before him. And you just imagine her wrapping her arms around his feet. And she says, Lord, help me. The woman presses in further. Lord, help me. Imagine one night you're sitting in the ER with a minor injury. You don't want to be there, but you got to be there because your spouse said, you need to go get this checked out. And you said, I don't need to. And you said, she says, yes, you got to go. And you're like, oh, fine, whatever. And so you're there. Real life experience, by the way. And all of a sudden, through the doors comes a mom running in. Help me, help me, help me. Someone please help me. And there's no one in sight, just the people sitting there. And then she goes to the doors to the back and starts banging on the doors. Help me, please, help me, help me, help me. My daughter is in the car. She needs help today. Please, please, please. This is the woman's desperation. She won't be turned away. She won't be turned away because it's a desperate situation. Now, Marcy and I have had a moment like this before in our lives. We have 6 kids, and our last child, Scarlett, we talk about Scarlett being this strange miracle baby. Like we were good with 5, and then boom, okay, 6th grade, Lord. But the whole story of Scarlett's just like unique and special, and we loved her when she was a baby. Now, she's 8.5. It's different. I'm just kidding. She's great. But on that night, when we were in the delivery room and Marcy was soon to give birth, we'd been waiting for some time, and I was stepping out to go get some snacks, and all of a sudden, some nurses came and caught me, and she's like, you can't go anywhere. The baby's heartbeat keeps dropping. We've got to move now. Something's not right. What? She's like, put the scrubs on. We got to roll. And so they are all of a sudden, in a matter of seconds, rolling Marcy out of the room, down the hallway. And Marcy, I was like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. We just got to pray. And we just began praying. I began praying. There's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. Within seconds, I'm at Marcy's head, and there's a blanket ahead of me, and they're having to do a C-section. And I'm just watching my wife, and we're praying together. We're asking God's help. Lord, protect my baby, protect my wife. I don't know where this is going. And then all of a sudden, I hear the faint cries, and the doctor says, Dad, look. And I look over, and they are unwrapping the umbilical cord from her neck 3 times. Within seconds, the girl couldn't breathe. There's no moment like crying in faith, God, oh God, help, oh God, help. Many of us know that kind of desperation. This is the desperation of this mom. Jesus responds to her, it's not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Now that sounds harsh, but Jesus is using a cultural metaphor. In the metaphor, children equals Israel, God's covenant people. Bread, takes bread and throw it to the dogs, is a picture of Jesus, the blessing of Jesus, his healing, his deliverance, his provision. And dogs Again, it represents the Gentiles, but this time the term doesn't represent scavenger dogs. It represents the little household golden doodles. It's a nicer term. It's a sweeter term for this woman's faith. And Jesus is saying it would not be right for me to take what is meant for the Israel and give it away prematurely. Right now is not the time. Again, it's a statement of missional order, not a personal insult, but she argues with Jesus. Verse 27, yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. What she's saying is, I know I'm not entitled, but I believe there's enough grace in you, even for me. Just listen to my plea. Hear my cry. Would you just give me a little bit of what you have? And in this moment, Jesus marvels at her faith, and immediately answers her prayer. She becomes one of the only people that Jesus says, great is your faith. O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you desire. The story concludes, and her daughter was healed immediately. In that moment, Charles Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers, said of this account, when the door is shut in her face, she only knocks at it. And when Christ calls her dog, she only picks up what Christ said as a good dog will pick up his master's stick and brings it right to his feet. See, this woman shows us what real faith looks like in a world of instant answers and fragile entitlement. Fragile entitlement says, I deserve good things, I deserve answers, I deserve success, I deserve comfort, but when life doesn't deliver, it collapses. It expects blessings, but can't handle a delay, it can't handle a denial, it can't handle difficulty. In a spiritual context, it sounds like, I prayed so much, God, so you should answer me now, according to my ways. It prays, I've been good, so I shouldn't have to suffer. If Jesus really cared, he'd fix this already. But when God seems silent or slow, that kind of faith crumbles because it's built on expectations. It's not built on trust. The question is, do you trust God because he is God? Do you trust that he knows better than we know? Do you trust that he is working all things out for our good and his glory? See, this woman's faith is different. She doesn't give up when it's hard. She doesn't get offended when it's uncomfortable. She doesn't trust her feelings. She trusts Jesus. Jesus, you are able. Jesus, just give me a little. Jesus, I know you see me. Jesus, I know you care. See, in this moment, we're reminded that we are not to walk away when God seems silent or slow. We are to press in with humble, persistent faith. He hasn't come through for you yet? Well, keep praying. He hasn't answered you yet? Keep knocking, keep seeking, keep asking, keep going. Don't give up because he is able. And every prayer you give is just one more step to your own dependence on him, to prayerful dependence on the only one who can open the door, the only one who can heal, the only one who can solve the problem, who can give you what you need is Jesus. And the more we become dependent on him, the more glory he gets from us. And that is what it's about. It's about his glory, not our wants. When it becomes about our wants, we have grossly misunderstood biblical Christianity. See, if a Gentile outsider with no background, no access, and no promises can press through silence and be welcomed in, what's stopping you? Those of you who know Christ today, those of you who know his goodness, know his hope, he still welcomes the desperate. He still responds to persistent faith, and he still is redeeming those who are far from him. So let's press in for the lost. Let's press in for our needs. Let's press in for our families. Let's press in for our marriages. Let's press in for our children. Let's press in for greater works to be done among us because Jesus said it would be. Number two, Jesus heals the hurting. He heals the hurting. Verses 29 through 31. These next two accounts will go a little quicker. After delivering one desperate woman here, he moves on. He walks beside the Sea of Galilee. sits down on a mountain, and the crowds flood in again. Verse 29, Jesus went on from there and walked beside the Sea of Galilee, and he went up to the mountain and sat down there, and great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others. Now, Matthew is incredibly intentional with his explanations here. They bring the lame, they bring the crippled, they bring the mute, they bring the blind, and many others. And notice what they do. They put them at his feet. These aren't minor ailments. These are lifelong, visible, painful sufferings. What do? They bring all their friends because they've heard of what Jesus just did to the woman's daughter. I just heard Jesus answer this desperate Gentile woman, and their daughter is now walking in freedom. Maybe he can do it to our friends and family. And so they bring all their people, the lame, the crippled, the blind, the mute, and many others, and they lay him at his feet, and it says, and he healed them. So that the crowd wondered when, now get this, it flips, when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled healthy, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. One after another, person after person. What does Jesus do? He sees their need and he heals them. Matthew says the crowd wondered. They were amazed as the mute began to speak, the lame began to walk, and the blind began to see. Get this, they came to Jesus one way and they went away a different way. They came broken and battered and hurting, and they walked away walking, seeing, listening, and changed forever. This is the story of a Christian's life. You come to Jesus sinful and broken with all your brokenness, with all your story, with all your hurt, with all your pain, and you meet him and he gives you a new heart and you walk away changed, transformed by the power of Jesus Christ. This is the transformative power of Jesus. Now here's the line. These are Gentiles. Yet they glorified the God of Israel. What? That's not a throwaway phrase. These people are outside of Israel's covenant, and now because of Jesus, they are worshiping Israel's God because Israel's God has now become their God. Again, this is a glimpse of the nations coming in. This moment here foreshadows what's coming in the Great Commission in Matthew 28. It foreshadows the Holy Spirit's coming in Acts 2. This foreshadows what is to come in Revelation 7 when John sees people from every tribe, nation, and tongue glorifying the one true God. This is more than a healing service. This is a glimpse of heaven. This is a glimpse of us today when we look around and we see people from different nationalities and different ethnicities in one church worshiping the Lord. This is a picture of who the church is to be today. It's this moment that the hurting have become whole. The outsiders being welcomed in, the nations glorifying God. These aren't just miracles. These are signs that Jesus restores what is broken. No matter who you are, or no matter where you're from, or no matter what you've done, Jesus restores anyone who comes to him in faith. During World War II, soldiers wounded on the battlefield would be rushed to field hospitals behind enemy lines. These makeshift tents were often chaotic and overflowing with need. The wounded weren't lined up by rank or by nationality. They were carried in on stretchers, dragged in by friends, some even crawling to get the help they needed. And there was no questions about how they got there or how they got hurt or whether or not they deserved treatment. No. They were laid at the feet, one by one, the feet of medics who had one job, to diagnose and to heal them. In many ways, that's what Matthew 15 is showing us. Jesus is the great physician. And this moment on this mountain becomes a field hospital for the nations, a place where every brokenness is healed. Every one who is broken is laid at the feet of Jesus, and no one is turned away. It doesn't matter where they came from. It didn't matter what they had done. It only mattered that they had come, and that they trusted that Jesus is the one who could make them whole. Jesus is the one who could answer their greatest suffering. Oh, listen, you may not be physically lame today. You might not be blind, but some of you know what it's like to suffer. You know what it's like to be emotionally exhausted today. You know what it's like to feel like your tank is empty. To feel like you've been serving others and you've been doing so much that you just are empty. You know what it's like to be spiritually numb, relationally broken, or mentally paralyzed. You've been carrying pain quietly, been carrying it privately for quite some time. And here's the good news. The same Jesus who healed the hurting then still restores the broken today. He restores. He's able to restore. If you'll bring your pain to his feet, he won't turn you away. He won't shame you. He won't avoid you. He won't ignore you. He'll meet you with his mercy. That's what his touch does. It brings healing where no one else can, because he is the one who can heal every pain and fix what's been broken. Number 3, Jesus satisfies the soul. He satisfies the soul. This last scene is a story of Jesus feeding the 4,000. Now, here's what's important. We've already looked at the feeding of the 5,000. You ask, what is different? Well, the number's different, 5,000 and 4,000. Secondly, the amount of loaves and fish are different. And the amount of baskets left over afterwards, the 5,000 left over with 12, and the other ones, this one's left over with 7 baskets. But here's what's really important to see, is that the first one was done among the Jews, and the second one is done among the Gentiles, and both point to the same truth. Let's read it. Then Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the crowd because they have been with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I'm unwilling to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way. And the disciples said to him, Where are we to get enough bread in such a desolate place to feed so great a crowd? You're kind of like, are you kidding me, disciples? You've already been through this before. And Jesus said to them, How many loaves do you have? And they said, 7 and a few small fish. And directing the crowd to sit down on the ground, he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 7 baskets full of the broken pieces left over. Those who ate were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And after sending away the crowds, he got into the boat and went to the region of Magadan. Some things to notice: his compassion now for this crowd. His compassion for the Gentiles is the same as his compassion for the Jews. Jesus is a Christ for the nations who has compassion on all who come to him. After healing their bodies, he turns to their hunger. He doesn't send them away. He provides in a barren place, a desolate place. He miraculously feeds them again. But this moment isn't just about lunch. This is once again a picture of God's abundant provision for those who come to him. God has all that you need. Jesus is showing us that he is the source of true satisfaction, not just for the Jews, but also for us. You're not a Jew. I'm not a Jew. Some of you might be Jewish, but the truth is we're Gentiles. This mission in the Old Testament wasn't for us. Or was it? The truth is, as you begin to look in the Old Testament, you quickly begin to see that God brought in Ruth, a Moabite, into his covenant family. God began to bring in others already, and it was a foreshadowing of what was to come. This gospel is for us. Jesus didn't come just to fill stomachs. He came to satisfy our souls. And in John 6, he makes this connection unmistakable in chapter 6, verse 35. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger. Whoever believes in me shall never thirst. See, the bread that he gave them here was real, but temporary. It met a temporary need. But the bread he would give after the cross and resurrection would be eternal. By laying his own life down, the bread of life was broken so that we could be made whole, so that we could be satisfied, so that our souls would be filled, because many in this world are looking for that which will satisfy their soul, and it'll never be found on this earth apart from Jesus Christ. It won't be found in alcohol. It won't be found in pornography. It won't be found in sex. It won't be found in whatever pursuit of life you're pursuing. I listened to Will Smith this week on a podcast, and he said, there's nothing like getting to the top of success only to realize that you're still hungry and there's nothing else to get. True satisfaction is only found in Jesus Christ, who gave himself up for us so that we would never hunger again. That's the gospel, Christ in our place. But we don't stop at the cross, because we're not just preachers of a cross. We're not just heralding a cross, are we? We are preachers of a resurrection. Jesus is the first fruits of that which is to come to us. We can't just stare at a cross. We can't leave out what is to come, the resurrection. We have hope in an eternal life, the bread of life given for us bodily and raised to life victoriously and gloriously, so that anyone who comes to him can have life that never runs out. And in all three of this story, this passage, one truth rings out. Jesus is the way. He is the source. He is the answer. The woman was desperate. He delivered her. The people were hurting. Jesus healed them. The people were hungry. He satisfied them. And he satisfies all who would come to him in faith. They came to him in faith, and he did the work. Notice that. He's the one that does all the work in this. And the same is true for us. We don't save ourselves. We don't try to satisfy ourselves. No, Jesus does the work. This is why faith is important. How much faith is important? Just a little. You gotta have just a little faith. It's not the size of your faith that saves us. It's the sufficiency of Jesus crucified, risen, and reigning. It's his blood that covers us. He keeps us. There's an old story told of a man caught in a blizzard in the mountains, a very, very hard blizzard. It's like a whiteout. The snow is blowing sideways, every which way. He remembers someone told him that there was between the cabin and the barn, there was a rope. He's trying to make his way to the cabin, but he can't just see anything. And so he goes to track down the rope. He remembers the cabin's there, the barn's there, and he begins crawling on his knees, feeling around. And finally, after some time, he grabs it and grabs the rope, holds onto it, and begins to just pull himself closer and closer, inch by inch. And it leads him all the way home to safety. That's a picture of Jesus. It is not the strength of your faith that saves you, it's the object of your faith. If you're someone who's wrestling with your eternal security today, I would ask you, are you wrestling because you don't think you've done enough? You don't think you've believed enough? You don't think you're good enough? You don't think you deserve it? Well, I want to help you out. All of the above is true. None of us deserve it. None of us have done enough. None of us are good enough, and none of us will ever. That's why Jesus came. It is his perfect life, his death, and his resurrection. And when we put our faith in him, we cling to him and we hold on. He is the rope in the storm. It's his cross, it's his blood, it's his resurrection. We just hold on however we can, and he is sure to bring us home. So be encouraged today. Trust Jesus. Let him be the object. Oh, listen, Jesus redeems all who come to him in faith, not because our faith is big, but because his mercy is great. Have you forgotten that? Maybe you're just now learning that today. I want you to know if you're hearing this for the first time and all of a sudden the burden of religion is rolling off of you, the burden of your goodness is rolling off of you, welcome. Welcome to Christianity, who says we're not good enough. Only Jesus is. And he says anyone who comes to him, he will never send away empty. He doesn't send us away desperate. He doesn't ignore the broken. He satisfies the hungry. He heals the hurting. He delivers the desperate. He'll do the same for you today. Come to him. What does it take? Not a resume, not a spotless record, not a perfect prayer, just humble, honest faith, a cry for mercy, and a heart that says, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. That's the kind of faith Jesus responds to, the kind of person Jesus redeems, and the invitation is open for anyone right now who would come to him. So come, not because you have it all together, but because he does. Do you know Christ today? Do you put your faith in him? If not, today's the day of your salvation.